Breaking news just today that all charges have been dropped for that Lindsay dad. Remember the Lindsay homeowner who was the victim of an armed intruder during a 3 a.m. home invasion back in August. Jeffery McDonald has had all charges against him for defending himself and his home against this intruder armed with a crossbow just today. But this is, it comes after months of outrage and politicians weighing in heavily on this topic and what happened there, and the homeowners' rights and ability to defend their castle, as it's called castle law in the US, which we don't have here in Canada, but rather the Crown relies on self-defense legislation. And so that's what saved Jeffery McDonald in this case, where all the charges against him were dropped because this was an obvious act of self-defense. I suppose it just took the better part of 7-8 months to figure it out, with hefty legal fees and costs, I must say, which we crowdfunded for Jeremy at savejeremy.com. So if you want to stay up to date, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, if you want to see the previous reports that David Menzies had done on the file, he went up to Lindsay right after the attack and invasion, did some street reporting there and found details that otherwise the public would not have been privy to. So we crowdfunded his legal defense. Successful, massive victory today for Jeffery McDonald at savejeremy.com. And we have this great clip of Doug Ford being asked about this morning, where, as Sheila, you mentioned, a broken clock is right twice a day. And he really doubles down. And this was something he said kind of from the onset. So it's unsurprising that this is still, well, I guess it is surprising that this is still his stance, because he is known as Flip-Flop Ford. But this was one topic where he stayed unwavering. And he was like, if you intrude into someone's house, if you come as an armed invader, this is what any reasonable person would do. They would defend themselves and take any measures available to them to do that. He references there was another really horrific case, I believe it was in Mississauga, where the father tried to, I think, acquiesce and compromise with an intruder, and he ended up being killed in front of his family. So that's, the thing that you're up against when you're faced with a fight or flight, dire 3 a.m. wake up call to someone armed in your home. We know police response times are anywhere from immediately to 90 minutes.
Never.
Or never. So it's really sadly becoming this uncharted territory where it's every man for himself in the middle of the night, especially if you're rural. At Lindsay, I believe they have their own policing. I don't believe it's OPP. I think there is a Lindsay police service. I'll have to double check that. But it is fairly rural. And although Jeremy did, from what I understand, live downtown, I'm not even sure how long it took the police to get there. But there's instances where they never show up, or it's 24 hours later in that one situation in British Columbia. So the whole thing is just a mess. But let's show this.
Well, and just before we show the clip, if there's an armed intruder in your home, whatever the police response time is too long.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't matter if it's 8 minutes or 80 minutes. If there's an armed intruder in your home, you should be able to defend your own life. I have a criticism of Doug Ford, but I'll save it for after, because let's just give him this win. But then I'll, okay, let's just watch.
The assault charges against the Lindsay homeowner were dropped this morning. That was the case where you said something was broken with the system.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you think that the system actually worked, or if you think the police need to think twice before laying charges in the first place.
Well, if what I understand, if the guy breaks into your house and he has a crossbow ready to kill you, it's free game. You protect your life, you protect your family, and there isn't one person anywhere in Ontario, anywhere, that if someone's breaking in your house and they're going to harm your children, harm your spouse, then, and I don't think they had children in the room, to be fair, but you're protecting your property. Guys, if you break into someone's home, you need to pay the price. I'll tell you, anyone breaks into my home, it's going to be a bad day for them. Real bad day. And every person in here will fight for their lives to protect their home and their families. And unfortunately, one man did that, protect his little 4-year-old, and that dirty scumbag shot him to death in front of his kids. That guy needs to go to jail for the rest of his life. Put him in a hole somewhere for the next 100 years. Those 4 little kids watching their dad get executed in front of his wife and his 4 kids. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And we have to start making sure these people stay in jail. Not going out for bail once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. They make a mockery of our justice system. That's what they're doing. Anyways, this is supposed to be a good news story. Sorry for ranting. Let's get back to Ontario Science Center and Ontario Place. Thanks for getting me going, buddy. I appreciate that, Lee.
Oh, Ford, it was your own doing that gets you going.
Everything he said there is right. You should be able to defend your own life, whether it's in your home or on the street, by the way. But it was Doug Ford's Crown Prosecution Service that laid this charge.
Mhm.
And when he says there's something broken with the system, pardonnez-moi, Doug Ford, but you're the system. You could fix this quite easily. In fact, in Alberta, Danielle Smith said that we are not going to prosecute people and put them through the ringer just to have the charges dropped. If you are defending your life in your own home. She said, don't break into people's homes if you don't want to get shot. That's what she said. So there are things that Doug Ford could do other than complain about the system. He's the system. You could do something about it. And thank goodness that people at home decided to help this man, Jeremy McDonald, because the process is the punishment. Thousands of dollars in legal fees, the stress, the reputational harm after you've been charged with manslaughter. That should never have happened to this man. And if there's a time to fix this, Doug Ford, instead of getting angry at the podium, do something about it. Say that you're not going to prosecute people who are saving their own lives and the lives of their families inside of their homes.
Yeah, and the bail reform issue, I mean, this guy
For sure.
was someone who had a rap sheet. He was known to police, previous convictions. I think he was out on bail, actually.
No surprise there.
Yeah, really unsurprising at this point. So that is a major, a massive issue in Canada where you just have these repeat violent offenders out on the street just ready to commit again because there is no repercussion. There's no consequence. And that's learned that's learned after your first release. Hey, I just skirted the system. I can get away with this stuff. Sadly, we've been told that masculinity is toxic. So I think a lot of these offenders have become so brazen that they don't expect anyone to actually defend themselves anymore.
Right.
And here you're faced with a man who stood up and responded in a masculine way and said, no, I'm not going to lay down here. And this was the result. But I think that, the process is absolutely the punishment, but this is absolutely a victory for
sure.
Self-defense and for Jeremy McDonald. So all the power to him as he moves forward in his life. I'm sure a situation like this comes with massive psychological repercussions. I mean, your home is supposed to be like the law says, the castle law in the United States. It's your castle. It's your safe haven. It's your sanctuary. And to have that breached, that is so highly disconcerting. I don't know how you would come back from something like that.
Yeah, it's
and the thing at the time too, remember, it was all about reasonableness. Did he respond in a way that was reasonable? And I can tell you that if I'm awoken at 3 a.m. by someone armed with a crossbow, you're not thinking, oh, is my response going to be reasonable in the eyes of a liberal appointed judge 2 years from now? Like, you're literally fight or flight.
Yeah.
Do you want the other side of the story? Then join us live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern for the news of the day. Unfiltered, unapologetic, and focused on the issues that actually impact you. We cut through the spin, challenge the mainstream narratives, and ask questions that many are too afraid to ask. So set a reminder, grab a coffee, and catch us every weekday live at 1 p.m. Eastern. See you there.